Hi, welcome back to Power of Storytime. I'm Kate, the creative director of Calling Card Books and Z Girls Press, and today we are getting very close to the end of the passage at Moose Beach. We've only got a little bit left to read. We won't quite finish it today, but we're almost there. So if you've missed any of that, we have videos of all the previous readings and interviews with author Michael Foster. They're available on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and Michael's website, which is michaelscabinbooks.com. Every Wednesday at noon, we've been reading from the kids or young adult book. We've been working our way through Passage at Moose Beach. And every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, we read from one of our fiction or nonfiction books for adults, or we might also be having discussions about publishing. So if you are interested in seeing anything in particular or have any questions, definitely leave us a comment. Let us know what you'd like to know. We'd love to give you more of what you're interested in. And also, if you would like to purchase any of our books, if you go to callingcardbooks.com/shop, they're all available there, and we appreciate when you do purchase books. It not only helps us as the publisher, but it helps the author, the printers, or if you decide to purchase through your local indie bookstore, it helps them as well. So together we can create a little book community. And Michael's not here with us this week, but we are going to talk a little bit about the book after the reading, but there's a juicy part in it, so we're going to read up to there before we have today's little chat, because we don't want to spoil anything yet before we read it. All right, so I guess I'll get into the reading. And when we left off last week, Alicia was traveling with Mickey and Briar, her friends, and Fiona, and they had just met up with a fearsome mountain troll called Bristleback, and they found out that, well, maybe they had more in common than they thought, and decided to team up and go towards Gran'Tree to see if he would help save the wild side by not using so much water. So we are going to Chapter 12, Charion by Night, A Secret Shared. Riding in the hand of a mountain troll was surprisingly comfortable. Alicia found the stone-like skin to have a slight give to it, like the firmest of mattresses. Standing and looking out across the lands from this height, her hand gripping one of the stony fingers as best she could for balance, Alicia was amazed at how vast the forest truly was. This must be what it was like for hawks and vultures that soar high above the treetops in their hunt for food. The wind was stronger up here, and blew her hair out behind her. Mickey rode on her shoulder, taking comfort from the girl, still trembling a bit from fright, both of the troll carrying them and from being so high in the air. He had climbed trees before, but never very high. He was mostly a ground-dwelling squirrel. Fiona had tried to stand as well, but the constant movement of Bristleback's hand made the deer unsteady, so she chose to remain lying down, her legs curled underneath her, peering through the gaps between his massive fingers to watch the progress. From this vantage, Alicia could also see how far and wide the drying had spread. She saw large, dark brown trails like tendrils reaching up from some unseen place far ahead. The drying radiated outward from each of these tendrils, sucking the life-giving water from the soil like plants in the vicinity. It was terrifying to see, and served to reinforce the urgency of what they hoped to accomplish. She lowered herself back down to a sitting position. The way Bristleback's fingers curled up to cradle them, which sent chills up her spine the first time he did, was just right so that she could lie against any one of them as a backrest to relieve the ache of many days of traveling on Fiona. Admittedly, deerback riding was not the most comfortable way to go, especially for one with no riding experience. "How are you feeling, Mickey?" she asked the small squirrel, sensing that he couldn't quite shake his caution and apprehension. Alicia felt bad for him and wanted to lead by example and show that they could trust the mountain troll, even though she herself felt some lingering fear. After all, even if a mountain lion told you she wouldn't eat you, Would you ever really feel comfortable? This is kind of amazing, right? She said to break the silence. Amazing, yeah, sure. Mickey climbed down from her shoulder to sit on her lap, and did not sound convinced. I do appreciate the quick travel, especially for you, but do you really think he only eats rocks? That doesn't sound right to me. Rocks? I trust him, Mickey, Alicia said with more confidence than she felt. It sounds like he's lost a lot and has been suffering for a long time. She looked up at the troll's face, craggy and ancient, his eyes remaining focused towards the destination they could not yet see. I understand him. I've only been separated from my family for a short time now, and it's been difficult. I don't know what I would have done if I'd been all alone, without Fiona to help with travel and Briar to help with finding food. But especially you, Mickey. She looked back at the little squirrel. You were my first connection to anything living here in this world. You accepted me and helped me from the beginning, no questions asked. I love you for that. She reached down to stroke the top of his head. Stop that now, he said gruffly, brushing her fingers away with one hand while trying to brush away a tear with the other, without being noticed. Alicia saw, but didn't say anything. Speaking of food, I'm hungry, Mickey said with a quick sniffle. Can you get this ugly, lumbering beast to set us down for a bit so we can find something to eat? Now, Mickey, there's no need for name-calling, she scolded lightly. Turning her face back towards the troll, she called to him. Bristleback, can you please put us down for a moment near that stream over there? She asked, pointing. We're getting quite hungry, and I imagine that Fiona would love a chance to stand for a bit. She sent an image of standing on the ground near the water to Fiona, and saw the deer's eyes light up with anticipation. Certainly, little one, Bristleback rumbled back. A few long strides carried them to the stream, still out of range of the dark tendrils. The troll gently lowered the group, and they clambered out of his hand to the ground. Fiona stretched her legs, sending a grateful image of comfort and relief to Alicia. Look, huckleberries! Mickey exclaimed, scampering for the small bush close at hand, and eagerly picking berries, stuffing them into his mouth with glee. Alicia laughed at his antics, moving towards the first bush herself. This one was loaded with ripe purple berries, and she dug in. Briar came flying down through the branches as well, joining them for the small feast. We are traveling so fast, it's challenging for me to keep up, Briar announced as Alicia tossed a few berries to him. We'll get to Gran'Tree in no time at all. Yes, we will, Briar, and I want to thank you for staying with us and keeping us company, Alicia responded, gratitude in her voice, her teeth and tongue stained purple from the berry juice. I know you don't have to, but your presence here is welcomed and wanted. It has been an interesting journey for me. Scary, but fun, Briar shrieked in his raucous voice. Alicia looked at the bird, even though he may not have been able to smile, his beak being solid and all. She could see the pleasure shining in his dark eyes. I told you before that my kind are used to traveling alone, unlike my cousins, so this has been unique and surprisingly enjoyable, even in the company of this ratty old squirrel. Hey now, Mickey retorted, who are you calling ratty? You come over here. I'll pull out a few of those feathers and then we'll see who's ratty. Alicia chuckled at the exchange, watching the smile never leave Mickey's face and knowing the words were in jest. Fiona chewed on some leaves from a nearby bush, then walked off towards the stream to get a drink of fresh water. Alicia moved to join her. And you too, she thought to the deer. You offered to carry me, yet with the help of the troll you still remain. I appreciate your company as well. As I said when we met, your story moved me. Bristleback was right when he said there is a strength in you. I don't know if this is common in all humans, but I am thrilled to know you. She sent Alicia an image of the flying machine they discussed before. And learn of your world. I believe you have done something incredible here, bringing together this unlikely band of creatures. Alicia saw in her mind's eye an image of them all riding in Bristleback's hand, with Briar flying close. I am unaccustomed to spending time with any creatures outside of my own family and herd. This has been a challenge, yet I would never have imagined it before. You were an unknown young one, but I saw in you a kindness, Fiona projected an image of the two of them lying in a meadow, the warm sun shining down on their bodies. I took a chance with you, and it has been an extraordinary honor to be a part of this grand journey. If anyone can talk to Gran'Tree and be heard, it is you. I will be with you until the end. Alicia leaned forward and wrapped her arms around the deer's neck, feeling the rough hair against her cheek. I hope you're right, Fiona. I really do. The sun sank behind what was left of the tree line as the night sky set in, and even with the moon creeping slowly over the horizon, Alicia found that she could not sleep. Anxiety about the upcoming meeting with an unknown giant tree, with a reputation for being unsympathetic, swept through her mind. She thought of all the ways it could go wrong. What if the tree didn't see her? What if it didn't listen? Surely, with the help of her new friends, Fiona, Mickey, Briar, and now especially Bristleback, the tree must notice her. But would he hear her words? And even if he did, would he be bothered enough to care? After all, Mickey had told her that many of the forest creatures had tried to plead their cases and failed. If Gran'Tree didn't listen, then, well, maybe they could force him to comply. I mean, we have a mountain troll on our side, Alicia thought. He could just rip through that big old tree, she could just rip that big old tree right out of the ground, couldn't he? Her worried mind could not stop thinking, but her tired body needed rest. Alicia knew she had to be her best self tomorrow, and that a good night's sleep would help. But she felt like she was crossing the river Styx, and that Bristleback was her ferryman. The others were asleep, Fiona's legs curled tightly underneath her with her nose tucked into the bend, and Mickey resting close by, his nose twitching from whatever squirrel dreams were spinning through his head. Briar, who had saved Mickey's life and probably Alicia's, was barely visible, draped in his black and blue feathers. He was resting on the tip of one of the giant fingers on Bristleback's dark hand, his head tucked under one wing. The forest creatures had taken longer to trust the mountain troll than the human child, having lived their entire lives fearing him. But as the sky blue transitioned to sky black, and the moon rose over the nearby hills, their stress diminished as friendly conversation led to acceptance. Now, watching them sleep, Alicia felt closer to them than ever. They had been good traveling companions these past several days. Better than good. They had been wonderful and kind. But she knew their time together may be coming to an end. If everything turned out the way they hoped, tomorrow she would be back home with her human family. She would miss all of these new friends of hers terribly. Bristleback, she whispered into the night. The wind had died down, and the quiet of the dark her words carried more clearly. Yes, little one. Should you not be sleeping like the others? Bristleback kept his head turned away, so as not to bother her with the smell of his breath. Alicia was surprised by his consideration, given that he was a troll. She was appreciative as well. I have a secret I haven't told the others because I was worried if I did, it might not come true. You know, like a birthday wish or something? I have carried many secrets over my long lifetime. Soon I will be gone. Like all the ancient ruins of the land that hold their own mysteries, your secret will be safe with me. Alicia looked at him and could see it was true. The light in Bristleback's eyes was dimmer than before. She had gotten a good look at them when she faced him in fear earlier that day. More stone was visible under his blue-gray skin, too. Alicia knew that she must convince Gran'Tree to release the water, if only to save this once frightening monster. She must help him, and the others. Bristleback had seemed to act so cruelly all the time and made everyone fear him, but he wasn't bad at all. Really, he was just alone. And like her and the rest of her traveling companions, he simply needed a family to support and care about him. I'm going to ask Gran'Tree to help me return to my world. To be so powerful, he must have very old magic, right? If anyone could do it for me, I bet he could. You may be right, little one. His magic is immeasurably strong. I could not defeat him even if I still had the strength of youth to call on. Do you really think he'll listen to me? She asked, gazing hopefully at her giant friend. I think if anyone has the chance to be heard, it is you. You fought the predators who wanted to eat the squirrel, even tamed a bird and rode a four-legged beast. And somehow you got this old troll with bad breath to listen to you. You've given me hope, child, something that has been rare in my life. Tomorrow we will do whatever it takes to make him listen. What he chooses to do after that will be up to him. Just know that regardless of what happens, you have done the best you could. Thank you, Bristleback. Alicia felt calmness take over her worried mind. Thank you for everything. You are welcome, little one. Now go to sleep. I will get us there safely tonight. You have no need to fear. Tomorrow is a big day. And Bristleback? Yes, little one. Thank you for not eating us. You are welcome, little one. You would not have made much of a meal anyway, and you're too squishy. Alicia smiled at that. She lay her head down and closed her eyes. The mountain troll was right. Tomorrow would be the biggest day of her life. Now we're moving on to Chapter 13, Journey's End. Alicia, look, Alicia! Alicia opened her eyes to see Mickey would not stop jabbering. She reluctantly lifted her head from the great hand of Bristleback, ready to yell at the squirrel to be quiet, only to see him hopping up and down while pointing off in the distance. Fiona and Briar were already awake and looking in the same direction. It's massive! I could fly up and get tired before I ever reached the top. Alicia looked to where they were pointing and saw it. An immense tree on the horizon, reaching all the way up to the heavens. The top of the tree was lost among the low-hanging clouds. It was almost impossible to comprehend how anything could be so huge. As they came over the top of a small mountain and looked down the valley below, they could see the vast dead clearing where shade from the massive tree killed anything that attempted to grow. Beyond that, the dry land extended even further, and small dust devils could be seen whirring their brief distances across the ground, disappearing back into the dirt, only to be born again like phoenixes, were somewhere else on the landscape. As I feared, young one, Fiona spoke her silent language to Alicia. It is why I left this place. The drying is spreading more rapidly than expected. It won't be long before there is no more water left in the entire wild side. There can be no grazing, because grasslands cannot exist without water. This is the image on this page. Them looking over the valley and seeing Gran'Tree. Mickey ran up Alicia's shoulder to get a better view. We need to put a stop to this now, he said, pointing a tiny finger determinedly at the giant tree. Let's get down there, Bristleback, Alicia said. Let's end this. As they moved down into the valley, the great tree loomed larger and larger above them. It truly was a sight to behold. The trunk was so wide, even Bristleback would not have been able to wrap his arms around it. Alicia saw now any thoughts of forcing Gran'Tree to do what they wanted were simply foolish ideas. She remembered seeing pictures of skyscrapers in books about New York City. Gran'Tree was just as big, maybe even bigger than the tallest building. They stepped into the clearing and Bristleback came to a stop. I must rest, little one. The night's journey has taken its toll on me. I can feel a change in my bones. He gently lowered the group to the ground and then sat next to them, shaking the ground with a thump as he did. Alicia could see the weariness in his craggy features, the glow in his eyes, even more distant than the night before. That's okay, Bristleback. We're almost at an end to our journey. It's probably good to have a moment to prepare our thoughts. I fear my own journey is truly at an end, Bristleback grumbled softly. He could no longer sit upright and collapsed to his side, catching himself with one arm. I think I might just lie down here for a while and watch the sky. Bristleback laid his head against the ground. What are you saying, Bristleback? Alicia asked, fearful of his answer. Bristleback turned his head towards the girl. All things come to an end, little one, even ancient things like me. I'm the last of my kind in this land. It was only a matter of time before the drying claimed me as well. Tears welled up in Alicia's eyes. But we're so close. Just stay with us for a few more hours. I know I can save you. I can save everyone. I believe you can, little one. I believe you can. But my time here is done. Even now I can feel my bones changing. Bristleback's eyes squinted against the pane before his features relaxed once more. Don't be sad. I've lived a long life. Now go! He mustered all the strength he could to find a growl, one more strong command. Its power caused a similar rumble of earth below. Make the tree answer for what he has done to this land. Alicia stumbled and fell to her knees with the shaking of the ground. But I don't know what to do, she sobbed, pain in her knees, afraid for her friends, and suddenly confronted with the weight of all she had to do. Gran'Tree is so big, bigger than I ever imagined. How can I possibly get his attention? How can I make him listen to me? I need you, Bristleback. She reached out and placed a hand against the stone cheek of the troll, feeling the cold, rough skin of his face. I need your size and strength. We all do. Without opening his eyes, exhausted from the effort to send them on their way, he whispered, You have more size and strength in you than you know, little one. You have great power. You conquered even me. You helped me let go of my anger and find friendship again, even if for a short time. The mountain troll paused, his breathing deep and slow. One huge hand raised to rub at the newly formed rock appearing under the skin of his head. Then he dropped back to the ground with an earth-shaking tremor, causing Fiona and Mickey to take a few steps backwards. You are so willing to accept others without judgment, he spoke again. Your compassion for all things softened even my hard skin. I think maybe I even understand this love you talked about. Bristleback found the strength to open his eyes and look intently at her. She could see his skin changing rapidly now, drying out, turning from the blue-gray of their first meeting to the dusty green color of stone. Little one, he spoke, his voice pitched so low now that only she could hear. I promised your secret is safe with me, but I believe you should tell the others. They are your friends. They care for you and they need to know. You should not have to struggle with this alone. They can help you. You're right, Alicia cried softly, watching this mountain of strength become weaker and weaker, his body at last succumbing to the awfulness of the drying. I will, I promise. You gave me a greater purpose at the end of my life. For that, I am grateful. I will carry your memory to the next land. Bristleback paused, looking at the human child beside him. I was wrong, he whispered. Ending this life alone would have been a terrible thing. I was blind for many years, but I see now. Even with our short acquaintance, I am thankful to have known you. Where I am going, I will tell all of the human child who called me friend. Now leave me and go do what you came here to do. I have faith in you. Believe in yourself, Alicia. You will find a way. I will remember you always, Alicia cried softly, looking into the large gray eyes of the troll. Thank you, Bristleback. Thank you. With a final sigh, Bristleback closed his eyes. His face hardened in the dry air, freezing his craggy features in place. As she watched, the mountain troll slowly crumbled into pieces, leaving behind nothing but a huge pile of stone, a memorial forever marking the passing of the last ancient creature, her friend. So that was pretty heart-wrenching. Sweet Bristleback. He was so misunderstood, but Alicia really brought out the best in him. And last week we talked about Mr. Malone's English class that Michael, that they were early readers for the book, and we had a little virtual chat with them Sorry, let me see if I can get a picture of them up here. Maybe not. But yeah, Mr. Malone's class, they were so central to the early development of the book, and oops, sorry, having some technical difficulties. This is them, and we got on the virtual call with them, and after they'd read the book and talked about it, and we brought up Bristleback's death and asked them if it made them sad, and the whole class in unison said yes, and one of the students said that she was really sad that Bristleback had to die, but she was happy that he died for a cause and that he died helping his friends, which I think is a really sweet sentiment, because we were really touched by Bristleback, and Marta, the publisher, definitely has cried multiple times reading Bristleback's death scene throughout the process of editing and publishing the book, and it's a very... We love stories about love and unlikely friendships, and that's what this story has in spades, and Bristleback's a really, really touching and poignant version of that. And I think I won't read all of this because some of this is a spoiler for what we're going to get into in the next and probably final episode about this book. But one of the students, when asked what the theme of the story was, they said that, I think the theme is about learning who you truly are and what your potential can be. And Alicia didn't know about the magic inside her, but used her kindness to preserve and perseverance, not only to get through the situation, but also to help others in the process. Mickey and Briar both learned that to get along with creatures outside of their races and to help each other, their friends, in the world. Bristleback learned that he didn't have to be alone all the time, and used his last days to help the wild side. And that was a theme that came up over and over again, was Bristleback's sacrifice and the power of friendship and love, and I just think it's a really, really sweet sentiment. We love Bristleback. So we'll be back next Wednesday, and if you have any comments or questions, definitely leave us a comment below. I will try and have Michael back on and see if he can maybe read some of the last chapters, because we're almost at the end here, and things are about to get dramatic and exciting and pretty touching. So join us next Wednesday at noon, and also join us Friday. We're not exactly sure what we'll be doing this Friday, so leave some suggestions if you have any, but it'll be good. So join us Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks for joining us on Power of Storytime.